So this screencast is not about how to follow the directions and how to achieve the basics of what they're asking you to. This screencast is about how to really push yourselves into the upper tiers of the rubric. The first thing you need to realize is the wording changes a bit, and it can be a little bit hard to know, well, what do they mean by convincing? So just a couple of items. When you're talking about the ACT essay prompts, which now ask you to synthesize and put together ideas, and also to not fall into that kind of a trap of oversimplifying, you want to be convincing. You want to think of examples that are unique to the topic instead of maybe just the most obvious examples. You want to engage with multiple perspectives. And what that means is you really need to make sure you're looking at the data they gave you and you're attacking it and using it instead of, again, pouncing on the most obvious, thinking, okay, the time is running out and so on. Your complexity is in your thinking, and that you're able to break down the items and put them back together to synthesize them in a way that really does consider, okay, how does this really operate in the big picture? Because, again, they're going to give you things to read and look at, but the most important part is that you don't gravitate just towards one thing in a hurry, analyze that well. That's going to limit you. That's going to put you at the 4 or 5 range. Your evidence must be compelling. And once again, try to avoid jumping on the most obvious examples or ones that are real surface level. And you're convincing, that's your commentary. A lot of the items that you can write about will be right there in the paperwork that they gave you. That's not convincing if you give them back what they gave you. So your commentary, remember, you want to use specific details and examples, and your commentary is your thinking, your connection. And that's so important to get you out of the 4 range and 5 range where you're giving them back a thoughtful response to what they gave you. This is kind of the fun part because even your college essays and so on, you don't have to come in a military fashion and say, this is my thesis and here's my first paragraph. That will, again, put you at the 4 range because you've answered the question. You've done your job. So look to bury the thesis, as we say, or wait, make the reader wait. Some of the best responses are going to dive into the complexity of the issue and really break it down, put it back together, and then ultimately lean towards an answer. So try to avoid probably what you've been taught over the years in some cases to start off with the thesis. It does help keep you organized, I'll grant you that, but some of the most sophisticated writers are actually going to show their thinking, preview their thinking, and then they're going to eventually lean towards because again, you have a complex issue here. It isn't a simple issue they've given you. It's not meant to be. If that were the case, then everybody would do well and we'd move on with their lives. Language use, again, this is the fun part. You're going to remember big words, long sentences are not always the answer. Have a variety of sentence lengths and types and openings. Use the appropriate diction. Sometimes a short, choppy sentence is perfectly timed in an essay. Give the reader a time to catch their breath. And also remember, you want to make it a journey, if you will. Now, this is difficult. Again, but all the things I've already mentioned, to do this while you're writing on the timer is very difficult. So don't worry about little teeny mistakes here and there. Vary your sentence openings, vary your sentence structure. Remember to have rhythm and punch. And remember that someone's reading one of these over and over again, same prompt. I've scored many of these types of things before. Same prompt over and over. There is, to me, an intangible value in putting a title on it, and also just remembering somebody's going to be impressed with the rhythm, how it sounds, how it feels. Yes, you have to do your job in all those other ways. It's difficult, right? Some of the things you've been trained to do over days in a classroom, you're now doing on a timer. So again, try to relax and let your strengths shine. You can think your way into a higher score sometimes. The way you approach this, the way you attack it. You can't always write your way into a higher score just by being flashy or anything. So good luck to you. I hope this was helpful.